Welcome to Becoming Laron Anthony. I'm your host, Laron Anthony, and this is my life. Disclaimer: Becoming Laron Anthony is a podcast to help others through my shared experiences. This is not an attack for those who share similar experiences through these episode topics. Parental advisory is strongly suggested. Hey y'all, welcome to episode 4, Becoming Greater Than Suicide. In tonight's episode, I'll be discussing how I wanted to kill myself. Now, when I was 13 years old, I wanted to commit suicide because I felt like life wasn't worth living and because I was depressed. But most importantly, I was a victim of bullying. This individual used to bully me in grammar school, and this individual made my life a living hell. And every chance that this bully had, they would completely ruin my life. This individual made me feel small. He belittled me. He tormented me. He made me feel confused. He made me feel like I was worthless and that my life was a piece of shit. He made me feel like shit. It got to the point where I dreaded going to school because I knew that I would end up seeing this individual. And I remember having suicidal thoughts. And I remember when I kept thinking about it, I kept contemplating different ideas or different scenarios where I put myself in where I would, try to kill myself. And I remember coming home each and every day, and I was just contemplating on different ways that I would kill myself. Now, it was hard for me to come to the realization that this is what I wanted, because I felt like, again, like my life wasn't worth living because this person made me feel so small. And I felt like, a nobody. I felt like I was invisible. Like I felt like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like a human being. And so I thought that the best way for me to be at peace was to kill myself. I thought that death would be peaceful for me because I felt like, my life wasn't worth living. And I felt like that I just couldn't take it anymore. And that I knew that I had to be at a place where I could be at peace. And so I remember going into the bathroom, locking the door, and I was ready to jump out of my window. I didn't write no suicide, note to give to leave it for my family members so that they can find it. I just thought that, it wasn't important for me to write a suicide note because I felt like they would end up finding me anyway. So I felt like whomever find me, they're just going to find me. Because I felt like at the time, I was just very careless. I was selfish. I didn't think about nobody else but my own. And so I felt like the best option for me was to not to leave nothing behind. I felt like I just take it all with me and just let me suffer in my pain because I wanted to die with my pain. Even though my pain hurted like hell, but I knew that I had to take it with me because I didn't want nobody else to bear my pain. So I just remember just contemplating on if I should jump out the window or not. And I was this close to jumping out the window. But somehow I felt like, God was with me. I felt like he, was trying to pull me in. I felt like there was this tug of war between God and what I wanted. And I was fighting against it. And I felt like, I felt like I needed to end my life. Because I felt alone. I felt like spiritually, I felt like I was dying alone. And that, again, I felt like the only way out of my misery was to kill myself. Because that's what I wanted. So I remember just inches away out of the window, ready to jump. And I remember God speaking to me. I remember him telling me that, it's not my time yet, that there's so much more in me than I can ever possibly know. And I remember crying. I just got down on my knees and just started crying. And I just knew that it wasn't my time yet. I knew that there was so much more in me than I can possibly ever know. And that I remember just looking in the mirror and just seeing myself and just again, just crying, but also just looking inside of me. I was just looking at myself, going through each and every layer, or peeling off each and every layer, and try to, get to the root of the problem of why I'm feeling like this. What drove me to the edge? Because clearly I was at the edge, literally, but also metaphorically, what made me feel like I had to kill myself. And again, it was the bullying, but also I felt like I gave that individual my power. And because I felt like I did not know who I am. Because during that time, I questioned myself. And I questioned my masculinity. Because I felt like an outsider. I felt like I didn't really have my own footing when it came to, being a part of, quote unquote, the boys club. But really, I just didn't know who I associate with more, if that makes sense. But I just felt like I just felt lost. I felt incomplete. And I was just searching for belonging, searching for acceptance, hoping that someday I would be accepted for me and that I wouldn't have to, be pressured into figuring it out. Because I feel like during that time, I felt like I was pressured into trying to fit in. And again, trying to be a part of, quote unquote, the boys club. Because I felt like I wanted to fit in. I felt like I had to fit in just to be accepted. Because I felt like if I were to be accepted, then I wouldn't be constantly being bullied or being the punching bag. Because that's what I felt like. I felt like a punching bag. I felt like I would just use for someone else's gain, for someone else to feel better about themselves. Because that's truly what bullying is. Someone just, making fun of you, picking on you because of their unhappiness. And to be honest, unhappiness does spread, just like misery spreads. Because, misery enjoys company. And I feel like happiness is like that too. But I felt like what that individual felt about himself, he lashed that on to me and made me feel the way that he felt. So I felt ashamed of who I am. I felt embarrassed. I felt belittled. I felt like I was a nobody. But most importantly, I feel like his pain became my pain. His burdens became mine. So I felt like I was living, I feel like I was the proof of his own pain. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's what I felt like. But also, I felt like I gave his words meaning and I gave it value. Because I end up valuing and affirming what he said about me. And that became who I am. Or who I was. But I felt like, again, at that time I was very insecure. And unfortunately, I wasn't as strong or as firm in who I am. I didn't affirm myself. I didn't validate who I am. And I think that's how I fell victim to being bullied. I'm not trying to give an excuse or just trying to, give the person who bullied me, a pass which I'm not, because that individual doesn't deserve a pass. But I think what I'm trying to say is that no one really has the answer when it comes to being bullied. And that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. I mean, we can all disagree to agree. But I feel like that there's really no right or wrong answer when it comes to bullying. But I feel like it is important to talk about it, and it's important to prevent it from happening and prevent the lives that has been taken away because of bullying, because of suicide. A lot of kids are dying, and it's unfortunate, and it's heartbreaking, and it's disheartening and saddens me because, they feel like they have to go through it alone, that they have to live with their pain alone. And I know that feeling because of me going through that experience. And I never wish this experience on anybody, even on the person who bullied me. I don't wish that on anybody, on him, because I just feel like it saddens, to take your own life because of somebody else and because of their unhappiness. Again, unhappiness can latches on to anybody if they're not strong-minded or if they're not careful. But yeah, I just feel like, this has to stop. And kids need to know, even not just kids, but anybody in general needs to know that they're not alone and that they don't have to be alone or choose to be alone. That's what I should say. Because it is a choice to be broken. And during that time, I chose to be broken. I chose to be in my pain. I chose to live through my pain and to live through my suffering. But unfortunately, living through that pain and living through that suffering caused me to want to kill myself because I thought killing myself was the best option. And at the time, it was my choice because I was choosing to not to live. I was choosing to let what happened to me, being bullied, get the worst of me. So I just feel like I just got tired of giving my power to that person. Hell, I felt powerless. I felt defeated. Again, I felt like a nobody. And that's why it led me to want to kill myself. Because I just got numb to the point of being bullied that I just felt like I had to escape. I had to escape this world. Because this world, while I wouldn't say the world is shitty, it's just the people. I mean, not everybody is a bad person. Not everybody is a shitty person. Sometimes they just do shitty things. And sometimes when they do shitty things, it just latch on to another person and it make them feel like shit. And that's what this individual made me feel like complete shit. But I just wanted to talk about my experience with dealing with suicide because, again, a lot of people have been dying because they feel all alone. They feel like they have to be the one to carry what they feel and not sharing about it, like not talking about it, not trusting someone to be able to go to them and express how they feel, not feeling like they're not alone. And that I think the reason why people do that is because they feel like they're not worthy, or they don't feel like they're not getting the proper tools or even the proper resources, or even not just getting the resources or the tools, but like knowing that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to have your moments. It's okay to want to break down or do whatever you need to do to feel better. But I feel like it shouldn't have to get to the point of wanting to kill yourself, especially when you're enough, when you're worthy, when you're loved, and when you deserve to be loved. But also, it can also be the mental. It can be the emotions. Because like I said in last week's episode, that the mind is very powerful. And so is the emotions behind it. Because where your mind thinks, your emotions going to react to what you're thinking. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, it's going to react. So I just think it's important to talk about the bad. And in case in point, suicide, this is the utterly bad. But I think it's important to talk about it. I think it's important to address it. Because you never know whose lives going to be touched or impacted by this. Or you never know what someone else is going through. And they may need this. They may need someone to be vocal and adamant about it. So maybe that this will help them to overcome it, to overcome what they're going through that's leading them to want to kill themselves. So I think it's important to bring awareness. And that's why I'm using my platform specifically in this episode to talk about it. Because I wanted to share this dark parts of myself that I think is important to share. And I think this is the perfect time to talk about it because unfortunately it's happening in this world, in society today. And I think it's time to speak out about it. Get the conversations rolling. And just be able to change the narrative. And be able to address it. And not to feel like it has the power over us. And not to dim our light for anyone. Or anything. And to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Because look at me, I'm still here. I didn't let what I wanted, which was, to kill myself. Because I overcome it. I defeated it. And if I can do it, so can you. And that, again, you're not alone. And you don't have to be. And even if you feel alone, please call the suicidal hotline number, which is 988. Because it's important to reach out for help. And whether it's you or someone you know that's going through it, please call. Don't hesitate to call. Because it's important to get the help that you desperately needed. And to know that it's okay not to be okay. And we all have our moments. I have my moments. I think that's just a part of life. But it's important to go through those growing pains. And I think dealing with that or experiencing something like that, such as, suicide or dealing with suicidal thoughts, I think it's important to get that help. Because I don't want, whether it's one of my viewers or just anybody in general, I don't want you guys to self-harm yourself. Because it's bad. And not judging anybody that does it. No judgment here. But I don't want you guys to self-harm yourself. Because I've been through, I wouldn't say I've been through that, but I know people that have been through that. And I've also dealt with somebody that wanted to kill themselves. And I remember them calling me about it. And that was disturbing. It was disheartening. But I'm glad that individual felt comfortable enough to come to me about it. And that's why I'm trying to do with this episode. I'm trying to embrace the uncomfortable in order to be comfortable, just so that I can bring awareness, but also to help people that are experiencing something similar like this. I mean, thank God I haven't, experienced this now, but I did experience suicide when I was younger. And I just want to be able to talk about it. And hopefully me talking about it, hopefully it sheds some light. Hopefully it touched someone who's listening to this episode who felt resonated, who felt like they were able to be seen and to be heard and to be valued. Because I think that's important for anyone, well, for everyone, to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel valued, and to feel love, and to know that you deserve to be loved. And I think that is important. So, but yeah, that's the end of episode 4, Becoming Greater Than Suicide. And again, if you or anyone you know are experiencing suicide or even experiencing suicidal thoughts, please call the hotline number, which is 988. And to know that you are loved. And if no one ever told you this, but I love you. And and I hope you get the help, or someone that you know get the help that they desperately need. And just know that I'm here for you, and hopefully you guys can be there for one another. And we all need love right now more than ever. But yeah, again, this concludes episode 4, Becoming Greater Than Suicide. I will see you guys in the following week, and we'll be talking about in the next episode, Becoming Oneself and Masculinity, where I be discussing different experiences that led me to feeling comfortable in my masculinity, which I'm still finding myself in my masculinity, but it's definitely been a long journey. It still is an ongoing journey, but I never felt more comfortable and more happy in myself and how I let go of that toxic masculinity. And I feel like with doing that, I'm breaking barriers when it comes to, myself and just being limitless and just finally, again, being comfortable in myself, which is important. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Continue to share, send this podcast to each and every individual, whether that's a family member, friend, church member, whatever, even your enemies. Please send this podcast to each and every person that you know. All these episodes are out now, 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So, which I'm very proud of my podcast, and I'm very proud of the work that I'm doing with this podcast. But yeah, please guys, please tune in to each and every episode. Please share each and every episode. And yeah, thank you guys. Bye.